This is a very gentle yoga practice for your menstrual phase. I love this practice for the first few days of flow, particularly if you're experiencing any fatigue or any period pain symptoms. So maybe some cramping or low back aches. This practice is going to soothe a lot of those symptoms that can arise. It's also a great one just to meet yourself with a bit of compassion in the early days of your cycle. So it's gentle movement. It's very reflective, so there's lots of space, lots of breathing, and time for you to be able to turn inward. The menstrual phase is a great opportunity for this activity where we have less hormonal interference. There's a greater connection, greater communication between left and right sides of the brain. So you can find that balanced quality, that evenness between the masculine and the feminine, even during this menstrual flow time that might feel sort of uniquely feminine. You can kind of strike that balance between the two. So we are using just a mat today. It's a very grounding practice where you won't find any standing postures. We're kneeling and kind of in a prone or supine position for most of the practice. So very gentle. This is a great one to use before bed if you need some relaxation. Maybe you've had a really long or stressful day. This is a great antidote to that. Or just any time that you need some gentle movement and stress relief. With today's practice, as I mentioned, we are doing a lot of kneeling postures where your knees are kind of supporting the rest of the body. So if possible, it's helpful to have some cushioning underneath your mat. When I was creating this practice, did it just on the carpeted floor in my home. That should be just fine. You don't really need the sticky mat quality for this practice because it is so gentle. So just remembering that, allowing yourself that comfort of some cushion under the knees and shins so that you can really enjoy this practice and you're not creating any unease or discomfort in the legs. So let's get started with today's movement practice. We'll begin our practice today in a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. You might have a blanket or a cushion under your sits bones for greater comfort. And just start to arrive on your mat. So you might close your eyes for a moment and start to look inward. Notice your posture, how you're holding yourself in space. Notice any sensation arising in the body, where you feel any tightness, where you feel expansion, where you feel a bit sleepy, where you feel energized. Without labeling these sensations as good or bad, simply observe and become aware. And as you do this, begin to connect with that deep breath in and out through the nose. Start to let it make a sound such that you can really pay attention to its rhythm and map your movement onto that pace. If you feel called to do so, you might plant seeds of intention here at the beginning of our practice for how you want to walk off your mat. How do you want to shift? What energetic change are you seeking to create through your practice? If your eyes are closed, gently blink them open. And we'll continue connecting breath with movement. As you inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Maybe send the gaze toward the fingertips. Then nice and slow, let the arms lower down on the exhale. So using this pattern to connect with the rhythm of the breath, inhaling. So use that full inhale. Maybe touch the fingers at the top and then exhale the entire breath out to lower the arms. Feel that space in the shoulders. Inhale. And exhale. Twice more like this. Big inhale breath. And exhale. Last one. Big breath in. Slow breath out. From here, take opposite elbows behind you so the forearms are supporting the low back. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Rotate them up, back, and down so that you have this broadening across the chest and the collarbones. And from here, simple head circles. So allow your head to drop down and move to one side. And then reverse the direction to the other side. You might come all the way through center, but if that's a bit tender, you can stay in the downward hanging of the head. Sometimes it can be a bit much to go back, but really just feeling this out for yourself in your neck. Maybe holding on one side and then the other. Just acknowledging anything that comes up for you. So I know for me, when my neck and shoulders feel tight, there's almost a sensation of heaviness or kind of stress that you know is living beneath the surface. So if that comes up for you here, just breathe through and acknowledge that you are using this movement as the antidote, as the medicine. Slowly release the hands. Let the head come back up to neutral. We'll take the fingertips behind you here. Press through the finger pads. Lift up through the heart. Big breath in. And slowly come back through center. Take your right hand out to the side. Reach your left arm up and over. Deep side bend, exploring the side waist. You might bend the elbow a bit to deepen the sensation. Keep the left hip crease, anchoring down. And then take your left hand behind your head, press your head into your hands and broaden the elbow so that you create some space across the chest and shoulder. Big inhale breath here. And then as you exhale, take that elbow to opposite knee, to the right knee. And reopen, inhale, broaden, expand. And then as you exhale, coil the belly in, cross the body, tap the elbow to opposite knee. Open, reach, extend. Feel that length in the sides of the waist. And then coil in. Just gently toning the belly here, creating some stability, some activation in preparation for our practice. Last one here, big inhale. And exhale, tap elbow to knee. Come up through center, release the hand from the head. And we'll just come through center to switch sides. So giving that stretch from the left side to the right now, taking the right hand up and overhead. Bending into the left elbow if that feels good, anchoring through the right hip crease. And I invite you, whenever it feels right, to let the gaze be soft or the eyes close so that you can really use this practice to move inward. Bring that right hand to the back of the head. Once again, press the head into the hands. Feel that create space in the shoulder and the chest. Big breath in here. And exhale, take elbow to opposite knee without letting the hips pop up. Inhale, open. So we're creating lots of mobility in the spine, in the sides of the waist here. And acknowledge how one side maybe feels a bit different. For me, it's a little bit harder to reach elbow to knee on this side without letting the hips pop up. Just again, taking that as information, as a data point. The last two here, big breath in and slow breath out. Last one. And cross your body. Coming back up through center. As you're ready, release that right arm. And just come back up to a comfortable seat. Maybe create some circles with the torso, rounding, extending the spine. And reversing the direction here. And then as you're ready, we'll come into a tabletop position. So you can cross at the ankles and roll over your knees coming into tabletop. So the hips are over the knees, shoulders are over the wrists. Spread your fingers wide, press evenly through all 10 finger pads. If you can, soften the heart down between the shoulder blades, and then coil the belly ever so slightly in by drawing low ribs and hip points together. Once you have that, re-extend the upper chest, the heart forward, the crown reaches forward. We'll move through cat-cow spine here. As you inhale, soften the belly down, send the gaze up, shine the sitting bones back. From the tail, round the spine in, curl the navel inward toward the belly, chin to chest. Press through the hands to broaden the back of the heart. Reverse it from the tailbone, shine the sitting bones back, soften the belly, send the gaze up. And exhale, round in, coil the belly, chin to chest. You can add some lateral movement here if you like, opening up the sides of the waist, maybe swaying the hips from one side to the other as you move, as you ride these waves of breath, exploring the mobility that's available in the spine. So really just unlocking that flexibility, that innate quality of the spine that desires to move. Last one here, big inhale. And slow exhale. And come back through your neutral spine and tabletop. Start to steady the left hand into the mat. And as you inhale, sweep the right arm open. Imagine a gentle touch pressing that hand out and away from you. And then as you exhale, take that arm under. Bring your right ear to the mat. Square the hips. Stretch your hip creases up and back. Then begin to press through the back of your right palm. Create some energy there, like an anchor point, and then pull ever so slightly the right shoulder back towards the right so you feel that traction in the outer arm. Keep drawing the belly in toward the spine. And notice any holding that you might have. Where are you creating tension that doesn't need to be there? Maybe in the face. Maybe in the supporting shoulder, you can rest that arm, the left arm. And then as you're ready, unfolding here, right arm reaches, and we'll exchange sides, keeping it nice and simple today. Inhale, left arm opens. Feel that twist in the thoracic spine, the back of the heart, and then thread the left arm under. Bring left ear to the mat. Same thing on this side. You might spider your right fingertips. Keep the hips square with the hip creases reaching up and back. Press the back of the left palm into the earth and then drag the left shoulder back towards the left side of your mat. Breathing deeply here through the twist. And then as you're ready, coming back, reaching the left arm up and taking it down. We'll come into a bit more flow here now. Starting in tabletop, we'll take the right leg back behind you and start to feel, without looking, feel for when that leg is horizontal. So when the hips are level, you might have to lift the left hip crease slightly and lower the right hip down just a touch. Activate the right leg, keep it strong, and then start to reach the left arm forward, spinal balance. Stretch from left fingertips to right toe tips. Big inhale here. And then as you exhale, slightly different than you might be used to, we're going to take the right knee towards the right elbow and the left elbow towards the left hip. So we're keeping this spinal balance curl pretty wide to maintain the level shoulders, maintain the level hips. So rather than coming through center and kind of crossing elbow to opposite knee, we'll come and keep these moving limbs parallel in space. So they're like gliding along parallel tracks. Reaching out, you might feel that allows you to engage and activate the deeper layers of the abdominals a bit more consciously. Last 3. Reach and connect. Extend. Last 1. And come in. Re-extend here. Let the left hand come down. Touch your right toes to the earth. You might stretch the calf a little bit here. Really extending the back of that leg. And I'll switch sides here so that I'll end up facing you as we continue to move. From this position, take your left shin, kickstand it out behind you. Come onto the right foot so that the outer edge of right foot is parallel to the short edge of your mat. Once you're there, bring your right hand to your heart, coming into supported side plank. Let your right hand extend out alongside your body. And then with the palm facing down, scan the horizon with that arm, sweep it overhead. So just exploring that pattern in the arm with the palm facing down, how you can access maybe a little bit more space, a little bit more mobility overhead. Once you find that, really reach through the right fingertips, anchor the outer edge of right foot down so that you're elongating the entire right side. From here, keep the right palm facing down, begin to bend into the right knee, and we'll scan the horizon with that arm once again, this time taking us all the way over the right leg. Let the left arm rise to T, finding half warrior two shape in the legs here. Create lots of separation between the thigh bones, some space across the pelvic floor. Big breath here. Telescope the ribs out of the hips. Can you level the shoulders over the pelvis? As you're ready, straighten that right leg, reach the arms up, take the right hand down. So I'll be opposite you in movement now as we flow. Left arm reaches overhead. Gate pose here, really anchoring the left shin down. Now exploring the left side waist. Inhale, both arms reach up. Take your hands to your low back, fingers up or fingers down. Support your sacrum, so that triangular bone at the base of the spine. Create some downward movement there. So anchoring the sacrum down towards the inner left knee. And then hug the elbows together, begin to lift up and back in a partial camel pose. So really focusing on driving the left shin down, lengthening the left hip flexor here. Slowly come up and out, reach the arms out to T. Bend into the right knee once again. And this time we'll take the hands to the inside of the right foot and walk them out towards the left, so along the diagonal. You might let the head come down, almost like downward dog in the upper body, but really exploring this space in the inner thighs here, creating a deep stretch in the right hip. You might spider your fingers and let the head rest between the arms here. And then slowly come back onto the hands. We'll just explore some hip circles. So working that right leg straight and then bending deeply, circling one direction and then the other. So as you pull the hip creases back, really engaging the musculature of the right leg as you stretch. So rather than trying to force the stretch or pull the muscles apart, we engage and activate the muscles as they stretch. Next time that your knee is bent, come through your lizard pose so you can parallel the back leg to the long edge of your mat. Hands are to the inside of the right foot. And if you can, inch your left knee a little bit further back so that you're on the top of the left thigh. As you do that, drag the hips forward, create some traction along the left side. Deep stretch here. Then you can come back into more of your lunge shape. Keep the left hand as it is. Maybe take it a bit wider. Bring your right hand to the top of right thigh. Press that thigh down and forward to twist the heart open. Keep the left thigh pointing down, so avoid that temptation to come into a precarious position for that left knee. Instead, keep it facing down. Nice gentle twist here. And then let your right hand come down outside your right foot, coming into runner stretch or half splits. Straighten that right leg any amount. Flex the right toes. Bring the toes back toward the shin. And take your left hand now to the outside of right foot. So both hands are to the right now. Keep your hips square and even. And just sink the hips back a little bit further. You get a deeper stretch here. You might even turn your toes to the inside, to the big toe side, to feel that IT band. And then coming back as you're ready. Send your right knee back to meet the left, coming back into tabletop. We'll enjoy puppy pose for a moment here. Crawl the arms out in front of you. Rest the forehead down on the mat. Keep the hip creases stretching up and back. Really lengthen the spine here. So creating those 2 points in space, and then finding the longest path between them. Shine your sitting bones back. Really lift up through the sits bones. And then slowly coming out as you're ready. We'll switch sides now. So beginning with the left leg, send your left leg up and back. Square the hips, level the pelvis. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Feel that engagement in the leg. And then begin to steady your left hand on the mat. Reach your right arm forward. Lengthen from the right fingertips all the way to the left toe tips. Big inhale. And as you exhale, keeping those parallel tracks, take your left knee to your left elbow to your right hip. Reach, extend, and then feel that contraction. So where it's almost like you're shortening the gap between low ribs and hip points, but without contracting, without physically changing the space. So you're magnetizing them together while keeping the torso nice and long. Reach, extend, and then feel that engagement. Feel the activation, the aliveness in the belly. Last 3. 3. 2. This is one of my favorite movement patterns for connecting deeply to the core. And reach. Let the right hand come down, left toes come down. Press the left heel back behind you to stretch the calf. And then we'll come into our flow now. Take your right shin, kickstand it behind you. Come onto the left heel. Really root down through that left foot so it's stable. Bring left hand to heart and slowly open into your supported side plank. Allow your left hand to come down beside you so that arm is along your body. And then trace the horizon. Sweep that arm overhead. You might explore that movement just a few rounds. And then once you find that overhead position where you can really reach the arm behind your ears, pause here for a few breaths. You might take a fist in the bottom hand if you're feeling any sensitivity in the wrists. And as you reach through the left fingertips, can you press through the outer edge of left foot? Then with the palm facing down, left palm facing down, bend into the left knee, scan the horizon with that hand, and find yourself in half warrior 2. Right arm joins the left arm to a T. Feel the separation across the bowl of the pelvis, so lots of space here, but without collapsing into the pelvis. So we're lengthening, and it's keeping that quality of buoyance. Big breath in. We'll start to come up, straighten the left leg, reach the arms overhead, gate pose. Left hand comes down beside you, right arm up and over. This time anchoring the right shin into the mat, really lengthening that entire right side waist. Reach up, both arms. And as you exhale, take your hands behind you to the low spine. Start to create that gravity of the sacrum toward the inner right knee. And begin to lift up through the chest any amount, camel pose. Supporting the spine. So really aim to press your right thigh forward. Anchor the left shin down. And back up through center. Reach the arms. Start to bend into your left knee now, coming back through that half warrior 2. And then we'll take the hands to the inside now. Walk your hands out on the diagonal, so over to the right, and soften the chest, the belly towards the earth. Really continue pressing through the right shin and bending deeply into the left knee. So you might create a little bit more sensation there. As you're ready, slowly walking back up and begin to circle the left hip. So working that leg towards straight in an externally rotated position, really kind of awakening the inner thighs. This is great for any sciatica pain that you might have, kind of flosses the nerves that run along the backs of the legs. So circling in one direction and then the other. Next time your knee is bent, begin to square your body towards the short edge of your mat. So back leg stays long. Both hands are to the inside now of your left foot. If you can, inch the right knee a little bit further back and then shift your hips forward so you're creating that traction on the front of the right leg. This is a very deep sensation. So if it's too much, you can always come out. Find your intuitive edge, so that place where you are exploring new space, but without pushing too far. You can come back into more of your lunge shape, inching that right knee a bit more forward. Take your right hand out wide. Bring your left hand to the top of left thigh. Press down and forward to twist the heart open. Again, keeping the right thigh now pointing down so that you have that stable foundation, and then you can twist into the upper back. As you slowly release, left hand comes down to the outside of left foot, and we'll come into our half splits pose. So straightening the left leg any amount, hugging the toes toward the left shin. Bring your right hand to the outside of left foot, so over to the left. Keep squaring the hips, reach the hip creases back and away, and maybe turn the left toes over to the right, so towards the big toe side of the foot. Just feel that stretch in the upper lower leg. You sort of feel it wherever you need it most. And come back through center. Let your left knee join your right. Find puppy pose once again. Resting the forehead here, shifting the hips up and back. With your next breath, begin to unfold. Find your first downward dog. So opening slowly, letting this downward dog be whatever it needs to be. So maybe your heels are lifted high, the knees deeply bent, creating kind of this iterative process where you slowly create the shape with intention, with alignment. And then step the feet together so that the big toes are touching. With an inhale, sweep your right leg up in space. Keep the hips square to start. Find that range of motion where you can keep the pelvis level. So hips stay square. And then slowly open that hip, that right hip, bend the right knee, square the shoulders, let the rotation happen in the lower body. Really be heavy through the left heel, creating this inverted shape, this inverted hip opener. And slowly release, let that right foot join the left. Same thing on the other side, left leg rises. Keep the left leg square to start, so leveling the hip points. And then slowly begin to stack the hips, bend the left knee, open up. Notice if your shoulders pop open, can you square them towards the earth so that you're now kind of guiding the twist from the lower body. Let your head hang heavy, free the back of the neck. And slowly release. You can take your feet back to hips width distance here. Begin to bend the knees, lift the heels, and slowly roll forward into your plank pose. Stretch the heart forward, let your knees touch down, and then bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the earth. Hands are under the shoulders, fingertips under the shoulders. Keep the lower body heavy. Inhale, cobra pose. Stretch up through the heart, anchor the hip bones to the earth. Maybe send your gaze up, squeeze the elbows in, and lower back down. Exhale, keep the knees grounded. Inhale, plank pose, and exhale, downward dog. 2 more rounds like that. Just a simple modified vinyasa. Inhale, roll forward into plank. Knees touch down, exhale, belly to the earth. Untuck the toes, inhale, cobra. Stretch the spine. Exhale, release. Knees stay grounded. Inhale, plank. And exhale, downward dog. Last time here, 1 breath per movement. Inhale, come forward to plank. Lengthen the spine. Knees touch down. Exhale, belly to the earth. Root through the hands. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, release. Knees stay grounded. Inhale, plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. Enjoy a few breaths here. Pedal out your feet. Let the head hang heavy. From downward dog, as you inhale, let the knees touch down. Come into cow pose. Extend the spine all the way. Gaze up. And as you exhale back, downward dog. So it's kind of a modification on cat and cow, just adding a bit more space. Inhale, knees touch down, soften the belly, gaze up, shine the sitting bones back. And then as you exhale, downward facing dog. Last one in this way. Inhale, knees touch down, soften the belly, gaze up. And exhale, downward facing dog. Start to step the feet even wider now. Let the knees touch down, big toes connect behind you. Find child's pose, whatever that looks like for you. So your hips might be high, they might be low. Reaching the forehead towards the earth. So now we'll take the opposite action of the cat-cow spine here from child's pose. And as you inhale, round the spine, find cat pose. Press through the hands, coil through the belly. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, cat. Press through the hands, round into the upper spine. And then re-extend in child's pose. Last one like this. Inhale, cat. And exhale, release down. Enjoy a breath or two here in child's pose. Swaying the hips side to side. Just feeling the effects of your practice so far. Maybe you have a deeper breath. Maybe you feel more length in the spine. And then we'll slowly come up now. And we'll cross at the ankles to transition to a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. And I'll turn to face the other direction now. You can stay wherever you are. Take your feet to the wide edges of the mat and begin to windshield wiper one side to the other, really making sure to go all the way down so the inner knee touches. And twisting, rotating here. And then the next time that you have the knees over to the right, keep that shape there, this sort of mermaid shape, and let your torso lift up. We'll start to turn towards the right. Let your right forearm come to the mat, and then reach your left arm back behind you. Create a bit of an arc in the spine. Anchor the inner left knee to the mat so that you feel that left quadricep awaken. You feel some length there. Inhale to come up. Take your left hand to your right knee. Gentle twist. Gaze over your right shoulder. Again, really anchoring that left knee to the mat so you feel this space across the front of the pelvis. And slowly unravel. Keep your right shin as it is. And if you have very tight hips, you might keep the left knee hugged in the way that it is. We're moving into pigeon. So your pigeon might be here if your right hip is very tight. If you want to open it up a little bit, take your left leg behind you. Wherever you set it up, just make sure that that left knee, left thigh is pointing down. So I like to keep the back toes tucked under until I get that alignment set. And then once you have that downward motion in the left hip, it's not trying to pop open, then you can release the back toes and slowly fold into your pigeon pose. So you might be folding very deeply, maybe not so much. And other modifications you might take here, if this is too much in the hip, but you still want that space, you can bring the heel a little bit closer to your body and come down. So just finding kind of the alignment that is both challenging and sustainable for you. We'll be here about a minute more. So again, really pressing through the top of the left thigh, and then dialing the right hip crease back. Breathing through, so not holding the breath. I find that especially in pigeon pose, it comes in waves of intensity. So can you ride those with the breath? We'll be here about 3 more rounds of very deep breath. And just notice those waves. So can you feel the sensation dissipate and then build slowly in intensity once again? That mechanism of the body that kind of tries to protect us as we move into these more deeply sensation-giving poses. And just let your body know it's okay. It can relax and let go. And last very big breath here. And slowly begin to come up onto your hands. From here, we'll shift, tuck the back toes under, and we'll turn to face the long edge of your mat. So you have the right knee bent, right heel hugging to the inner thigh, left leg extending. From here, take your left hand to the right shin, reach your right arm up and over. You can also take the left hand out to the side if you need more support. Really anchor the right hip crease down. Sometimes it can be nice to press that right hip crease into the mat, taking left ear to left shoulder, just exploring whatever sensation you need here. Maybe moving the chin side to side, forward and back. And then come back up through center. Take your right hand behind you. Sweep the horizon once again with your left arm. Lift the hips, reach. And slowly coming down. Extend the right leg long so you have both legs straightened here. Come onto the front of your sits bones, so tilt the pelvis slightly forward. Big inhale, breath, lengthen the spine. And then any amount, walk your hands forward. Come into your wide-legged forward bend. So continuing to really explore the inner thighs and the space in the pelvis. So as you do this, can you flex the quadriceps? So really press down through the heels. Try to press the back of your knee into the mat. And then from that activation, can you then lower and stretch more safely? Breathing here, create that echo between your body and the mat. Last big breath here. And slowly rise up. Bend your left knee now, hugging left heel toward the left thigh. Right arm can reach out along the right leg or to the opposite shin. And then let your left hand come up and overhead. Again, here, if you liked it on the first side, you might bring the heel of the hand to the hip crease and press the hip crease down and away, taking your right ear to right shoulder, maybe moving the head side to side, forward and back. And then as you rise up, take your left hand behind you, sweep the right arm along the horizon and overhead, really press the hips forward and slowly lowering down. We'll turn now toward the left side, hug your right knee in. So we're coming into that mermaid shape, again with the crisscross zigzag in the legs. We'll turn to the left, bring your left forearm down to the mat and stretch back with your right hand. So lengthen the right arm overhead. Keep anchoring through the inner right knee so that you're stretching the right quadriceps. This is a great way to access that deep stretch without having to completely flex the knee. So if knee flexion is a bit intense for you, this is a great way to stretch the quad without that sensation. Slowly come up as you're ready. Keep turning to the left. Bring your right hand to left knee. Gentle twist. And then release toward the front of your mat, coming into pigeon pose now on the second side. So again, you might keep that back knee bent in. You might have the left heel close to your body, or it might be more with the shin aligned with the short edge of your mat, more of a 90-degree bend in the knee. Wherever you are, if you are extending the back leg, keep the toes, the knee, the thigh pointing down. So you keep wrapping the right hip point down towards the mat. And then once you have your alignment set, you can untuck the back toes and fold forward any amount. So it's like diving into this hip opening ocean now. Just ride the waves of sensation. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Can you heavy the left hip crease down towards the mat? Can you draw the right hip bone forward so that the pelvis is level? And where can you let go even further? Maybe it's around the jaw, around the face. Keep softening, keep breathing. So we'll be here 3 more very deep breaths, just in and out of that sensation. Acknowledging that this may feel like a different experience to the first side, and letting that be okay. And last 2 very deep breaths. And last one here. Really enjoy it. Fill the lungs all the way up. And then slowly press up onto the hands. And we'll take the back foot now, the back leg, wrap it all the way around to the outside of your left knee. So we're coming into a seated twist. Make sure the pelvis is level, both hip points rooting down. Tilt the pelvis slightly forward. We'll make this a gentle twist. So we're just wrapping the left arm around the right thigh here. So you should feel this outer hip stretch. If you like, you can take the right hand behind you, maybe send the gaze over the right shoulder. So find your version of this twist. The intention here really just to stretch the outer thigh, but if you're wanting more of that deep abdominal massage, you can take the elbow to the outside of the knee there. You can even bring hands to heart. Just really exploring all of the available options and really being okay with whatever feels right in your body in this moment on this day. Start to gaze back towards the front of your mat and slowly release the twist. Let your fingertips come behind you, come into a boat pose shape. So the knees hug in, the legs hug in. You can keep the legs more straight or more bent, wherever you are, just lifting up through the chest and the heart. And then keep the knees married together so they stay in the same plane. And then we'll just simply tap a big toe and back up. Tap the big toe and back up. Just a few more rounds here, creating that last bit of core activation. And release. So we're now Coming into the other side, crossing the left leg over right, bringing the left foot to the outside of right knee. Set your body up first. So make sure both hip points, both sits bones, are on the mat. And then wrapping right arm around left thigh, finding your twist. Breathe deeply into the belly so you feel the belly expand into your thigh. You might take this deeper with the fingertips behind you, the gaze over left shoulder. You might stay more in the kind of gentle twist mode. Keep pressing the sole of the left foot into the mat. So you have that point of kind of anchoring that then allows you to twist. And don't sweat it too much if the hips come along for the ride a bit. And they need not be totally fixed. And then slowly begin to unravel. Coming back to a seat, extend both legs long. And then nice and slowly curl through the belly, lower bone by bone onto the mat, onto your back. Bend the knees. So bring the heels toward the sitting bones. Let your arms rest down by your sides. We'll enjoy one final posture here before our spinal twist. So one final kind of activating for the legs, but also kind of giving us a bit of an inversion. As you're ready, lift the hips into bridge pose. Press evenly through both feet. Try not to excessively arch the low back, but instead you're pressing the hip bones up. You're filling the glutes with energy. And then closing the space between hip points and low ribs. Stretching the back of the neck. Can you really feel this in the entire body? Squeeze the inner thighs to the midline. Create that energy to the center. And slowly release. Windshield wiper your knees side to side. And then our final closing posture for today, hugging the knees into chest. Let your knees lower to the left. So we're coming into a spinal twist. Stacking the hips, stacking the knees, and then allowing your right shoulder to rest down, to get heavy. So if you need to, you can let the hips kind of separate just a little bit wherever you need to be so that you can find both shoulders on the mat in a relaxed way. So this is not an active twist, very gentle, just allowing gravity to do the work for you. You might start to close your eyes if they aren't already. And again here, breathing into the low belly, so inflating the lungs so much that you feel the entire belly expand, so that you can reap the benefits of this twist. Gently tone the low belly to come out. Rolling through center, you might adjust your hips to the other side. And then coming into the twist on the other side now. You can have your arms to T or to cactus. Just really accepting that invitation to move deeper inward. Using this opportunity to once again just scan the body. And staying open to anything it might be telling you, anything it might be trying to communicate. And then without urgency, let the tone in the low belly come back through center. We'll enter our final resting pose. So take any last shimmies and shakes that you need for your practice to feel complete. And then find your final resting pose. If you have a blanket or a pillow, you might put that under your knees. You might bring your knees together, feet apart. You might have them extended. Bring a hand to heart, a hand to belly. We'll be here just a minute or two more. Really allowing that stress relieving quality of the practice to infuse your entire body. You might find your heart rate slowing. Maybe the thoughts are more widely spaced. In these last few moments, can you really allow your body and mind to rest? It's not a sleepy activity. You might find your mind is more clear, but that's the invitation to deep rest. How can you remove that desire for doing? As you move into stillness, the brain might want to switch on. But can you stay relaxed? As you're ready, bringing movement back into your body through fingers and toes, circling wrists and ankles, maybe hugging the knees to chest. And then without rush, slowly coming up to your comfortable seat, however that journey looks like. Maybe you're rolling to one side, maybe rocking forward and back. And we'll close our practice today in the same way we started, in this comfortable seat, just giving yourself a few moments here, once again, to observe your posture, observe the expression on your face. Can you feel the expression on your face? And just notice, even if it's ever so subtle, have you felt a shift somewhere inside the body? I want to thank you so much for joining me in practice today and for letting your body be moved.